I'm going to be making caramelised onion, goat's cheese and asparagus tarts. And these are a very simple dish to make with very few ingredients. First of all, you'll need 1 Jus Rol ready rolled puff pastry sheet, some caramelised red onion chutney or marmalade available in jars from the supermarkets in the condiments aisle, some goat's cheese, and I've used a Somerset goat's cheese, and some fresh asparagus spears. And finally, some beaten whole egg to glaze the pastry just before you put it into the oven. All you do is simply unroll the puff pastry sheet initially onto its wrapping paper, and then taking a sharp knife, just cut the whole sheet in half that way, and then each of those 2 rectangles in half the other way, so that you end up with 4 oblongs, and then pop those onto a lined baking tin. Now, I've lined the baking tin because I find it's easier should any of the ingredients boil out. They then don't stick to the baking tin, and also it means you can slip the tarts off at the end of the cooking time. However, if you wish to just put them straight onto your baking tin, that's perfectly fine. You then take the sort of onion marmalade or onion chutney that is available in jars on the condiments aisle in most supermarkets, and put a good, generous dessert spoonful into the centre of each of the rectangles of pastry. Spread it out evenly if possible, but don't forget to leave this all-important border, which means that when the pastry is cooked, the border will rise up and form just a little edge, which gives you the tart. And then I'm going to pop that down there, some of this goat's cheese. Now, you can use the chèvre, French goat's cheese, but there are so many lovely regional English goat's cheeses around at the moment. If you cut that into 4, and then each of those, and pop them, whee, there we are. And then finally some fresh asparagus, which is an absolute joy. I've actually bought here the asparagus tips, which are of course available all year round, but then come the spring we have the wonderful fresh English one, which appears in all the shops. And you just tuck 2 or 3 into, and what you could do, which is quite nice, is to tuck it like this. So it doesn't matter if it stands quite high. Now, just to help with the finished look of the asparagus, what I do is take just a little sunflower or olive oil or corn oil and lightly brush it over the asparagus tips. So that helps it to retain its moisture, retain its gleam during the cooking. And then the final touch, and again this is optional, if you would like a nice sheen golden finish to the pastry once it's risen, use some beaten whole egg and whiz it round the borders here. Now, if you don't want to use egg, you can use just a little milk. And if you really can't be bothered to do it at all, well, that doesn't matter. And this being puff pastry, we put this into the oven at 220 degrees centigrade, or 200 degrees centigrade if you're using a fan oven, gas mark 7. So there we are, absolutely ready to go, and now I'm just going to pop this into the oven. And here we have the goat's cheese, asparagus and caramelised onion tarts, all beautifully baked and ready to serve. And if you like, you can just sprinkle with a little bit of basil, but that's entirely optional.